Hi, thanks for joining me on another episode of the Tech Exec Podcast, where I'll help you create teams or leading. As always, I'm host of Ben-Yosef, advisor and coach to tech execs worldwide. And you know what we're doing here, right? We're ensuring that you're not wasting your life, your short life, leading mediocre teams. Our subject today is show the proof. Why? Because too often when I talk to leaders, especially imagine we're in a session and it looks usually like this. We're talking through Zoom or something, or we're on the phone and you're accounting something. I'm not someone from within your company. You are essentially the lens I've got into the company, into the situation you're describing. And when you say, we always have this issue, I have trouble with my, I don't know, ascertaining my authority or talking to the CEO, or I lean too much on that person, whatever it is, you're describing a situation. And of course, I can just accept that at face value as your coach and just say, okay, and what do you think we need to do about that? But one thing that I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to teach my clients to do as well when it comes to their own personal work and how they're helping people in the organization, I think you can do, is even before you sort of accept that thing, that sort of critique that you have in mind, or that description of reality, I want you to take like a split second to question it, to ensure that what you're describing actually makes sense. It's that objectively what's happening, or is this some sort of, I don't know, feeling that you have? A lot of times when I hear this, I'm not asking for too much. What I'm saying is, like, can you give me like a couple of real life examples where this happens so I understand exactly how this looks, what you're describing, and how often it happens? And you'd be surprised to hear that most of the time when people describe something like this and I ask them for actual examples, they cannot come up with examples, or they come with really weak examples, or yeah, I've got something, it last happened like 2 or 3 months ago, and the previous one maybe a year ago. And I'm like, okay, something that happens twice a year might not be that big a priority. Maybe it's not really that big of a problem, is it? And therefore, I always say, show me the proof, show me the evidence. Let's talk about that, because it's very easy to talk to yourself, but then your own head, in these sort of catchphrases. I suck at this. This is hard for me. I cannot do that. I always screw that up. That sort of stuff. But I don't think we need to allow this negative self talk to take place without at least taking a second and being certain that what we're describing actually is still happening. You'd be surprised how many people, especially you, dear listener, are now spending your free time, I'm guessing, listening to content about leadership. You're investing in yourself actively. And most people who do that usually improve, even if it's slow, if you're doing it by yourself, even if it's not something that comes to you easily, you're always making some sort of progress. And therefore, a lot of times you might have this image of yourself in your mind that's no longer up to date, that is disconnected with what you are now. Maybe it was who you were a while ago, but you've improved, you've grown, you've changed, your organization around you has changed. And also, a lot of us tend to be a lot more critical with ourselves in general. So there's a gap between what you're saying to yourself and what's actually happening in real life. And in this gap, what's critical, first of all, is to ask for the proof, ask for the evidence. You can ask yourself about what am I talking about, and that's fine. And when you do that, it will help you ascertain whether, no, I'm right. This actually happens twice a day and it's very bad and I need to work on it. Or maybe, yeah, maybe I was just being too harsh on myself. And maybe the evidence I've got is that I'm improving, or this isn't that big of a deal anyway. And you might realize it is an issue, and that's fine. At least you know that really is an issue. But a good chunk of the things that are rolling in your head that make you feel bad about what you're doing, you'll find out once you do this quick exercise that they're not as bad as they might seem. And doing that will really help you be in control of yourself, of your personal growth. Because I can only, you know, give my own testimony. My experience is with these things is that it can really weigh you down having all of these thoughts go on in your head and always picking on small interactions and it could have done better here, I could have done better there. And I always do that sort of stuff. But that's usually us being way too critical with ourselves. So if I take a second, I say, is it really that big of an issue? Do I really think that the person I was talking to even registered that? Because I know I'm very aware of this issue I've got, but did it really matter to anyone else in the room? Probably not. That sort of conversation, allowing yourself that bit of kind of comfort of not being so rigorous with yourself can really allow you to focus on the things that actually merit your attention and try to let go of a lot of baggage you don't need to be carrying around. So remember, when you're hearing that nagging voice in your head telling you that you're screwing things up, ask it for the proof, ask it for the evidence, see if it's really as you knee jerk describe it to yourself, or maybe the answer is different. And is it even happening all that much? What sort of an effect does it really have? Ask yourself these questions and you can really grow. And again, as I said when we started, this is also very useful when it comes to coaching and helping people in your organization grow because a lot of them are probably suffering the same sort of syndrome where they describe themselves differently than how they really are. And there, it's even easier for you to help them because there you are the external perspective. So use that with them as well. That's it for this week. Thank you for joining me. I'm reminding you that Unplugged Will Leave, my new offering, is out and still at introductory prices that are pretty ridiculous. And you'll get at least one monthly session live with me where you'll join others, ask questions, get a bunch of content, and I'm hoping it'll grow enough to allow me to do a lot of different fun things with you as my audience. So do check that out. Link is in the show notes, along with links to my newsletter, my email for any comments, and I'll see you here next week.